Hi. This session will help you to understand how to convert a data that has been collected from a Google form or a MS Office form into a contingency table. So we would be requiring two different variables for a contingency table. As you can see here, I have many different variables like age, gender, city, family size. All this on the top row shaded are all different variables. And now each variable has different values that they can take. For example, inpatient, this inpatient can take values yes or no, two values only. So this is called as a binomial. While if we look at the number of days that somebody has stayed, then it could be 0, 3, 6, 7, 2, 4, many different possible numbers that are there. So this is a multinomial or many values that can happen for a particular variable. Another distinction is that if you look at day stayed versus inpatient, in day state, the numbers are listed here, which means it is a numerical. It represents a quantitative item. While in the inpatient variable, we only have yes or no. It's a qualitative, just a descriptive. Similarly, if you look at city, they are also descriptive. However, family size is quantitative, can have number values for that particular variable. So we need to understand the distinction between a qualitative versus a quantitative variable. So that's the first step. So now let's look at how to use a pivot table to construct a contingency table for our purposes. So we will go to the top tab here, Insert. So if you look at Insert, there are recommend tables and pivot table. I suggest to take the pivot table because we will be deciding on what variables we will use to construct the contingency table, right? So click on pivot table and it says where is the data. So the first option here represents the data. Normally when you click it by default, it will select the entire data set. So it is selected from here till the last possible value. It's by default. However, just ensure that you have selected all the data that you've collected. So I'm just selecting all the data that I have. Then comes the option of either taking it as a new sheet or within the same sheet. I do not recommend the existing worksheet. It is better to go for a new worksheet because it will create a new tab here. So leave it with new worksheet and press OK. So the moment I press OK, I have the basic structure of the pivot table here, as you can see in the left. And on the right, there are tables, values that can be used for constructing the table. So let's take a situation where I want to construct between two qualitative variables. So qualitative, gender is qualitative. So I take gender, I put it in the rows. So the moment I put the gender variable in the rows, you can see the row labels. There are only two possibilities, F and M. So two things have listed here. The other variable I will take is inpatient, which is a yes or no. So I take it into the columns because a contingency table has one variable in the rows and the other variable in the column. So I take inpatient, drag it and put it in the columns. Now it has created the table. So there are two rows for the gender, female and male, two columns for the column which is inpatient, yes or no. I need to fill the values inside this table. So where do I get the values? So I take the inpatient and I click the inpatient, carry it and put it in the values. So this will list the values that are inside. Now, when you put it in the values, in this case, it is showing as the count of inpatients. So you can also change that depending on the situation. When you click it, you get the value field settings. There are different options that you can go for. Since we are only constructing a contingency table, it is recommended to use count. If you're doing some other financial work or accounting work where you need to total up something, then you can take the sum or average, minimum, maximum, the product values, etc. There are different options that are available. For our purposes within this course, we will use only the count option. So let it leave it with the count. Now we have the complete detail of the contingency table. So I just copy the table, open into a new sheet, and when I want to paste it, I should remember to paste only the values. So I click on pasting values. Now I have these. Now what are these actually? These are the gender, male, female, and these column labels are inpatient, yes or no. So this is how we construct a contingency table for two qualitative variables.